Making headlines this hour, President Dr. Mohamed Muiz visited the Urban Redevelopment Authority and Tuas Port as part of his ongoing state visit to Singapore. Vice President Hossein Mohamed Latif delivered an appeal for strengthened international cooperation, warns climate change is an existential threat to SIDS countries. And the Minister of Tourism and Environment say that the government will deliver on its vision to establish the Maldives as a globally renowned destination for halal tourism.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Welcome to PSM News in English with me, Hafiz Abdul Sattar. And now the news in detail. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz visits the Urban Redevelopment Authority and Tuas Port as part of his ongoing state visit to Singapore. The President was welcomed to URA by Adelton Xiaoling, Deputy CEO and Chief Planner of URA, and Sia Tse Ming, Director of Singapore's Housing and Development Board. A presentation took place where the President and his accompanying delegation were briefed about Singapore's long-term polycentric urban planning outlook to build and sustain a safe and smart livable city that puts the convenience of its residents first. The presentation was followed by a Q&A session that further elaborated on Singapore's initiatives to integrate public participation into its multi-sectoral urban planning discussions, its approach to city development that factors in climate resilience and delivering affordable housing for all. The President was then taken on a tour in the URA's Singapore City Gallery that showcases how challenges and solutions to Singapore's urban planning processes and city management transformed over the past few decades. URA is recognized globally for its district conservation program and is dedicated to developing sustainable living spaces in Singapore. It is the country's land use planning and conservation authority and the main government land sales agent. Furthermore, the President visited Tuas Port, where he was received by Ong Seong Leong, a group head of business development, and William Goh, Vice President, Container Division, PSA International. Vice President Hossein Mohamed Latif delivers an unequivocal appeal for strengthened international cooperation to close the enduring gap in ocean financing, warning that climate change presents an existential threat to small island developing states.
The Vice President's remarks came at a high-level side event at the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development, framing the Indian Ocean as a lifeline to the Maldives. Vice President Latif highlighted its central role in securing national food supplies and sustaining livelihoods, particularly within the country's tourism-driven economy. He expressed alarm over the increasing prevalence of mass coral bleaching and denounced the chronic underinvestment in Sustainable Development Goal 14 as unacceptable and unsustainable. Responding to those mounting ecological and financial pressures, the Maldives announced two targeted financing mechanisms designed to bolster marine resilience and support coastal economies: a coral reef insurance scheme and a dedicated fund for micro, small, and medium enterprises active in the blue economy. The insurance initiative aims to quantify and price climate risk, offering financial safeguards against environmental shocks while protecting biodiversity. Designed as a blended finance instrument, it seeks to facilitate MSME access to capital, reduce lending risk, and cultivate a pipeline of investable climate-resilient ventures across the maritime sector. These objectives were further explored at a thematic side event titled Blended Finance Opportunities for Marine Biodiversity, co-convened by the Maldives and the United Nations Development Program. The forum brought together SIDS with rich marine ecosystems, nations often acutely vulnerable to climate impacts, to examine scalable blended finance models. A panel discussion following Vice President Latif's remarks spotlighted the practical dimensions of these financial instruments. Panelists include Fatimat Abdullah Kamaluddin, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Capital Market Development Authority, Charles Yu, Technical Specialist in Climate Finance and Investment at the UNDP, Yabanix Batista, Deputy Director of the Global Fund for Coral Reefs, and Georgia Rakis, Policy Lead for International Finance at the United Kingdom's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office. Their dialogue ranged from structuring effective regulatory frameworks to expanding blended finance platforms and incorporating risk layering techniques that deliver shared value to governments, donors, and private investors alike. Vice President Latif closed by underscoring the urgency of overhauling global financial systems in the face of escalating climate disruptions. For SIDS, he said, quote, "Financing for development is a matter of our survival," unquote. The 4th International Conference on Financing for Development continues in Seville through the 3rd of July.
The Minister for Tourism and Environment says that the government will deliver on its vision to establish Maldives as a globally renowned destination for halal tourism.
Minister Tariq Ibrahim, speaking on PSM News Rajamia program, said the global halal tourism sector generated around $274 billion in revenue last year, while the figure is expected to be even higher this year. The minister said that Maldives, as a 100% Muslim country, could tap a huge portion of this revenue by its entry into the halal tourism sector. Minister Tariq said Maldives, being one of the foremost tourist destinations in the world, can exploit its current position by tapping the halal tourism market, attract more tourists to its shores, and further enhance its tourism brand. The Maldivian government has decided to develop halal tourism in 5 regions across the Maldives, offering grant concessions for those interested in investing in these areas. The government will pursue halal tourism in Ha Alifu, Ha Dalo, Shaviani, Ta and Lama atolls. In order to attract investors to introduce halal tourism in the region, the lease acquisition cost for the designated islands will be reduced by an additional 20%, and flexible payment options will be offered for the lease acquisition fee payment, such that lease acquisition will be paid in the first quarter of the 5th and 6th years. The government has also decided to waive the land rent for the remainder of the grace period instead of deferring it in case the islands or lagoons that are completed, opened, and operated before the grace period ends. With these concessions, 31 projects in these 5 areas have been opened for open bidding and closed bidding. The Ministry of Tourism and Environment said that one project from each atoll will be identified from the halal tourism model, with the deadline for bid submission open until the 1st of September. Halal tourism is a service designed to cater to the needs of Muslim travelers and to provide hospitality to all types of guests. The government plans to implement this concept during the resort development and also the operations phase.
The Ministry of Finance and Planning releases data showing a sharp increase in green tax revenue, collecting more than $65.6 million during the first 22 weeks of the year, as tourism arrivals increased by 15% in June compared to figures from the same month last year.
The tax figures published in the Finance Ministry's weekly fiscal development report indicate that green tax earnings climbed from $33.89 million in the corresponding period last year to $65.5 million this year, effectively doubling income generated through the nationwide environmental levy. Whereas data released from the Ministry of Tourism and Environment indicate 141,772 arrivals for the month of June, lifting the cumulative total for the first half of the year to 1,108,130. That figure marks a 9.1% increase compared to the same period last year. Driven by strong demand from key markets in Asia and Europe, tourist arrivals to the Maldives were led by China with 141,162 visitors, followed by Russia with 126,780, the United Kingdom with 108,371, and Italy and Germany with 86,891 and 82,188 respectively. Reflecting the steady influx of visitors, accommodation patterns showed a clear preference for resorts, which hosted 72.4% of tourists, while guest houses and hotels accounted for 22.5% and 2.8% respectively. With an annual target of 2.3 million visitors, government officials say the country is on track to meet that goal. The total already surpasses 1.1 million, and authorities expect a boost in traffic with the scheduled opening of a new passenger terminal at Vilena International Airport on the 26th of July. The green tax established established in October 2016, was introduced to help finance environmental protection efforts across the country. It is imposed on tourists staying in various forms of accommodation, including resorts, hotels, guest houses, and tourist vessels. Rates are determined by the type of accommodation. Guests at resorts, safari vessels, and hotels are charged $12 per person per night, while those lodging in guest houses pay $6. Children under the age of 2 are exempt. Registered establishments are required to submit monthly statements and remit payment by the 28th day of the following month. Growth in green tax receipts has coincided with a notable rise in tourist arrivals.
The Maldives Marketing and Public Relations Corporation, MMPRC, in partnership with Booking.com, holds a workshop aimed at enhancing the digital visibility and operational sophistication of guest house businesses throughout the country in a strategic effort to bolster its rapidly expanding guest house sector. The workshop convened at the State Electric Company Auditorium, organized following the recent signing of a memorandum of understanding between the two parties. The session focused on equipping proprietors and managers with marketing strategies, operational insight, and digital tools to improve performance on Booking.com's platform and boost overall guest house bookings. According to MMPRC, the program featured interactive sessions led by experts from the global travel platform, offering participants tailored guidance on optimizing their property listings for enhanced visibility and engagement. The agency noted that the attendees were introduced to prevailing trends across the hospitality sector and explored a suite of technologies aimed at improving competitiveness and revenue generation. MMPRC added that the emphasis on digital marketing aligned with a broader strategic objective to equip guest houses operators for the evolving demands of online travel marketplaces. That goal aligns with the terms of MOU signed on 26th of February and effective from 1st March through January 2027. The Health Protection Agency reminds tobacco vendors of the legislative amendment mandating a special license for tobacco sales will come into effect from 17th July. The opportunity to obtain the special tobacco license through the government's online portal OneGov opened on 17th April this year, and the deadline is set to expire on 17th of July. HPA in a statement warned that tobacco sales without acquiring the special license would be a legal offense after the expiration of the deadline. The Generation Regulation on Tobacco Control has empowered the Ministry of Health to impose a fine of $3,243 for first-time offenders, and the fine would double to $6,486 for each violation thereafter. The regulation also grants the authorities the power to withhold business permits. In recent months, the government has intensified measures to combat tobacco use, reinforcing its commitment to preventative health care. One such measure was the ratification of an amendment to the Tobacco Control Act on 21st May. The legislation establishes a generational ban on tobacco use and will take effect in November. The Central Bank Maldives Monetary Authority invites applications for 35 higher education scholarships in Islamic finance. The MMA Tamwil Islamic Finance Initiative is a strategic program launched with the aim of strengthening and enhancing the Islamic finance sector in the Maldives. The initiative will focus on the long-term development of capacity within the industry by facilitating education, awareness, and specialized training programs. By prioritizing financial literacy, awareness, and capacity development, this initiative is expected to contribute to the aim of transforming the Maldives into a regional hub for Islamic finance. Under this initiative, MMA has invited applications for 35 different programs from Malaysia's the International Center for Education in Islamic Finance and University Islam Selangor. The scholarships are open for Maldivians only, and programs available are 5 fully funded and 5 partially funded opportunities in Executive Masters in Islamic Finance by INSEF University. Malaysia, 5 opportunities in micro certification from AMIF by INSEF University. Malaysia, 20 opportunities in certificate in Sharia economics for banking and finance. CSEBF by UIS Malaysia. The eligibility criteria for students applying for the scholarship are posted on the MMA website. MMA said each application is limited to 1 full-time scholarship program. US President Donald Trump suggests that his efficiency department should take a look at the subsidies that Elon Musk's companies have received in order to save the federal government big money.
Trump's comments come after Musk, the world's richest man, renewed his criticism of Trump's sweeping tax cut and spending bill, vowing to unseat lawmakers who backed it after campaigning on limiting government spending. Trump previously threatened to cut Musk's government subsidies and contracts when their relationship dissolved into an all-out brawl on social media in early June over the bill, which nonpartisan analysts have said would add about $3 trillion to the U.S. debt. Musk's businesses include rocket company and government contractor SpaceX, which has about $22 billion in federal contracts, and its satellite unit Starlink. His rift with Trump has also caused volatility for Tesla, with shares of the electric car company losing about $150 billion of its market value on June 5th, the largest single-day decline in the company's history, though it has since recovered. Tesla shares trading in Frankfurt tumbled 5% on Tuesday. Tesla's shares dropped for a 6th straight month in Sweden and Denmark in June, underscoring the challenges the EV maker faces as competitors gain market share and CEO Elon Musk's popularity declines. Tesla is expected to report another fall in quarterly deliveries on Wednesday as the backlash against CEO Musk's political views and competitive pressures continue to drag on demand.
Yahya Saree, spokesperson for the Houthi military, says the group has launched a missile from Yemen toward Israeli territory.
Yahya Saree said the group carried out 4 operations targeting an airport and other sensitive Israeli targets. Israel's defense minister Israel Katz vowed to retaliate against Iran-aligned Houthis for the attack. Israel has threatened Yemen's Houthi movement, which has been attacking Israel in what it says is solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza, with a naval and air blockade if its attacks on Israel persist. Since the start of Israel's genocide in Gaza in October 2023, the Houthis, who control most of Yemen, have been firing at Israel and at shipping in the Red Sea, disrupting global trade. Most of the dozens of missiles and drones they have launched have been intercepted or fallen short. Israel has carried out a series of retaliatory strikes.
Mayor Ihor Terekov says a Russian drone attack set a building in central Kharkiv on fire and damaged others.
Local emergency services published video footages showing firefighters extinguishing flames at the site. Reuters was able to confirm the location of the video from the characteristics of buildings, windows seen in the video that matched foul images and satellite imagery of the area. Reuters was not able to independently verify the date when the video was filmed. 2 people familiar with the decision said the strike came as the Pentagon halted some shipments of air defense missiles and other precision munitions to Ukraine over concerns that U.S. stockpiles are too low.
Seven-time Wimbledon champion Novak Djokovic made a work hard after a strong start as he began his bid for a 25th Grand Slam title by beating unseeded Frenchman Alexander Muller 6-1, 6-7, 6-2, 6-2 to reach the second round of Wimbledon.
The sixth seed, who is aiming to equal Roger Federer's haul at the All England Club and move past Margaret Court in the all-time list of major champions, will take on British wildcard Dan Evans in the next round. Djokovic, who endured a poor year before lifting his 100th tour-level trophy in Geneva ahead of a run to the semi-finals of the French Open, powered through the opening set against Muller by winning 6 games on the trot. Muller put up much more of a fight in the next set, saving 5 break points to hold for 4-4 before forcing a tie-break where he raised his game again to battle from 2-5 down a draw level in the match. Having wrapped up the third set, Djokovic racked up a 4-2 advantage in the fourth set with an exquisite backhander winner, and there was no looking back from there as he completed the victory by holding to love.
To be quite frank, went from feeling my absolute best for set and a half to my absolute worst for about 45 minutes, whether it was a stomach bug or I don't know what it is, but yeah, just struggle with that. The energy kind of kicked back after some doctor's miracle pills. Yeah, I managed to finish the match on a good note, let's say.
Elsewhere, Gael Monfils knocked out French compatriot and 18th seed Ugo Humbert 6-4, 3-6, 6-7, 5th, 7-5, and 6-2.
US President Donald Trump takes to his social media platform, Truth Social, to promote a new brand of Victory perfume, the latest addition to a multi-$100 million empire stretching from golf clubs to merchandise.
Sandwiched between messages on global diplomacy and domestic politics on the Truth Social platform, a post by the U.S. president urges followers to buy his Victory 45 to 47 scent. The website extols its virtues as a perfume for patriots who never back down like President Trump. The perfume, one of a range of Trump-branded fragrances, retails at $249, a price which puts it in the same league as Chanel No. 5, one of the world's most iconic scents. Last month, Trump reported more than $600 million in income from crypto, golf clubs, licensing, and other ventures in a public financial disclosure.
And that's all we have for this hour. Thank you for watching. Wish you all a very pleasant time ahead.